So the main overarching idea or premise of JiminiCrikit was to create this kind of synthetic conscience. JiminiCrikit from Pinocchio would go through and sit on Pinocchio's shoulders and whisper things into his ear. Well, our JiminiCrikit wasn't much different from that, but it would operate from a standpoint of knowing information that it collects within your profile, information that you've put there, either expressly or maybe subconsciously within your search histories, within the way you text, within the way you post on Instagram. It even had the ability to go through and look at photographs and use facial recognition to go through and start identifying relationships. Yeah, that gets a little scary too. So the value of that was creating a synthetic companion, somebody who would watch over you, somebody who would suggest the best route to get there, somebody who could help you with your homework, somebody who might be able to offer some type of a relational advice for your marriage or for your teenagers or whatever that case might be, based on where it senses you're getting your philosophical background from. And that could be theological, meaning religious, it could be educational, whatever it sensed that you were doing. For example, one of our test artifacts was a Facebook post from a user who, it was the first day of school and their boy was going to kindergarten for the first time. He was going for school. And she posted, Greg starts kindergarten today, exclamation point, where has the time gone, question mark, exclamation point, okay? And that was it. That was the whole message. And the algorithm went through and interpreted that and looked into this user's background. This user happened to be a fan of Oprah, and she also followed a mommy blog to get information. And so first off, the algorithm goes through and looks at the structure or the syntax of that sentence. Greg starts kindergarten today. Well, starts today are temporal issues. Kindergarten is a social and cultural issue, and so it looks up the definitions of those things and comes to a conclusion that somebody is starting the first or the introductory year of school. Where has the time gone? Interrogative with also an exclamation point, meaning that these things are probably pretty important to the poster. And it's able to take that and say, this is a mother who seems to be, it figures out it's a mother because it's able to go through into this user's Facebook profile and see their family, okay? Again, might be a little creepy, right? The whole idea was that all this would be proprietary, that nobody would have any access to this. This wasn't a social media application. It was an interpersonal application, an intrapersonal application, where nobody gets access to the data. It's solely your data, but we couldn't guarantee that, and I might talk about that in a different clip. So it goes through and interprets this user's posts. Greg starts kindergarten today, where is the time gone? And then it finds something from the mommy blog that deals with becoming an empty nester in a way, having your kid go to school and what kind of concerns exist around that. Or Oprah, who gave a talk about parenting and getting your kid off to kindergarten or something along that line. And so it takes that information and feeds it back. And the user can go through and read it. They can discard it. They can file it away. They can save it for later, whatever that is that they wanted to do. So that was the whole idea, was there would be this companion. And over the course of testing, we had some very interesting responses with our users, not the least of which was some users started creating relationships with JiminiCrikit. We didn't want that to happen. We didn't want JiminiCrikit to go through and take the place of real interpersonal relationships. And so that started to become a concern for us. And then as we later got into the fact that it needed quantum computing to go through and exist, and that the federal government wanted access to our data, we decided to pull the plug on it. But my whole point of this is to come back and talk about the idea of happy and utility. This was going to be the next big thing. And in a way, it has become that by, in other iterations. But the whole focus of this, as I worked with my developers and I worked with another marketer on this, was this concept of what is going to help our users be happy. And not that it could make them be happy, but they would maybe have more of a choice. It might alleviate some fears. It might go through and assuage some kind of mourning, or it might put to rest, some things, who knows. While at the same time, it could be useful to them. So we had the daughter of one of my partners in this would make a commute from New Jersey into the city, into Manhattan for music lessons. And JiminiCrikit had the ability to go through and did I tell you this? Hack into the public transportation system and know precisely where a certain bus might be or where a train might be coming into a certain queue, and where Zoe could go at any given time to get the fastest and best and safest way into the city and out of the city at the same time. And that's the utility part of what JiminiCrikit was trying to do. The happy part, well, that was wide open. We developed a way for JiminiCrikit to synthesize the voice of somebody that you might want to be the one who whispers into your ear. And as you can imagine, Morgan Freeman was the #1 requested voice. We ended up using, did I tell you this? We ended up using Haley Joel Osment, a young voice with a bit of a British accent that very few people had any kind of negative response to, and it seemed to be pretty favorable that way. That didn't last very long though, because what then we were able to do was to create, we worked with 2 companies, one out of France, one out of Israel, to create the ability to synthesize perhaps the voice of your mom or your grandfather, or if you had a tape or a digital record of their diary or something laying around, we were able to go through and take that and synthesize that and use their tones to go through and talk back to you. Now that's a little creepy too as well, but on the other hand, my daughter, for example, never knew my mom, and we were able to develop a way for JiminiCrikit to help her with math homework using my mom's voice. Not only her voice, but it also had access to my family history and was able to go through and relate how her father, me, had issues with math, and then use that to go through and make some kind of connection. So it took family history, put that together. Well, I think you're, it's overwhelming really to think about all the implications that JiminiCrikit had as a happy part, as a way to go through and add another layer to our living, or maybe peel some layers back to how we communicated, or maybe educate us a little bit better about our past, about our culture, whatever the case might be. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, the happy versus utility. And as you can imagine, we're well, I don't know if that's true anymore. I was going to say we are better suited with applications that do both. But we're finding that some applications that try to go through and take care of that happy part might be wearing out their welcome. And we might be more driven then to the utility part. Because the happy part, you know what that asks us to do? It asks us to give up our privacy. And that was too much to ask. And that's too much to ask. Really, there's some utility apps out there. There are many utility apps out there that do the same thing, that ask for metadata, that ask for access to your microphone or to your camera on your smart device or on your laptop, whatever the case might be. And all those are encroaches there. And that's one of that taxonomy I was telling you about, the 4 different ways to go through and see maybe how applications work or should be working or should be held to some kind of a standard that way. What is it they do? All right, well, I think I'm confusing you even more. I'm back up to almost 9 minutes, so I'm going to cut this video off and then get into that taxonomy for the sake of this discussion. If you have anything to add to this, please do so. Go through and comment on the comment section that accompanies this clip, and I'll be happy to go through and respond to any questions or comments that you have. All right, thanks for watching.